Mr.
Hi,
Ricciardo,
Ethan.
pleasure to meet you, sir.
How you going?
I'm good. How are you?
Very, very well, actually.
That's good. Enjoying being back in Australia?
Yeah, it's good. Had some good meals. Yeah, all the good things about Melbourne, really.
Of course.
Beautiful weather earlier this morning on the beach. Not really, but it was alright.
So for sure. So just kind of getting straight into it, Mr. Ricciardo.
I like your efficiency, thank you.
Yeah. So this season is 24 rounds in 9 months. It's the longest in F1 history. How do you prepare for such a long campaign?
Yeah, it's an endurance. It's a season where we know we're not going to get much time in between races to kind of play catch up. So I think that's where, like personally, I started my pre-season, let's say my training and everything, much earlier than I normally do. Because yeah, it's like you want to get that money in the bank, so to speak, and that is going to serve you well for most of the year, or at least until the summer break, then when maybe we can top up again. But it's just so important, and that's obviously if we're fit and healthy, then it gives us a better chance to fight off sicknesses or jet lag or all these things that I guess people probably don't maybe see as much. So yeah, that was how I prepared a little differently.
So speaking of, are there any lingering effects of the hand injury from last year, or is that fully healed?
It's more I just can't throw any, like I can do some rights, but no left good nights. So that's no, it's fine. Like it yeah, like niggles a little bit here and there, like it's a bit sensitive, but fortunately driving, it hasn't bothered me, and that's where I'm most grateful, and that's all I really need it for.
Is it your hope to move up to the Red Bull racing team next year, and what do you need to achieve this year to make that possible?
It's certainly like I would love that as like ultimately, to be honest, yeah, just to finish my career there. Not saying that next year would be the last or anything like that, but it would be a nice way to kind of, go, I guess, full circle. It's obviously a very successful team at the moment, very, very successful. But I'm also, I'm always careful when I say these things, because am I looking that far ahead? I'm not. I'm looking here. For me now, especially with the way my last 18 months or so went, it's every weekend, like that's it. I'm just thinking one weekend, and it's just kind of step by step. I think that is the best way I can go about it, deliver the results I believe I can, and then if it leads up to a seat like that, amazing. But yeah, I'm trying not to get caught up in that like long-term way of thinking.
For sure. How exciting is it that Australia has 2 drivers now competing at the Grand Prix?
It's great. I think it's, for the sport and like the health of Australian motorsport, it's awesome because, for me, Mark Webber was the guy that I looked up to and gave me kind of the hope that, an Aussie can do it. And maybe I was that person for Oscar, and now he can be that person for another young up and coming kid, or hopefully more than one. So it's good. And I've got to spend a bit more time with Oscar the last 6 months. Once I kind of got back on the grid, and it's been good. I think he did a tremendous job last year. Obviously Qatar getting the sprint race win, which was in his first year, was phenomenal. And we hung out a little bit yesterday, played a bit of sport together. So he's a good kid, and proud to have another Aussie with me on the grid.
For sure. Are there any other racing categories itches that you'd like to scratch? For example, will we see Ricciardo at Bathurst, or Le Mans like Webber, or maybe IndyCar?
I don't know. I don't know if I'll personally compete in other categories. It's something I kind of go back and forth with, and yeah, I think having this kind of second opportunity now in F1, it's really all I'm thinking about. I'm still a fan of other motorsports and other categories, and honestly right now it's really all like F1 or bust, so to speak. And yeah, I'll probably just continue being a fan of the other categories for now.
Well, speaking of, how good is it to be back in F1 full time and with a full season ahead of you?
It's everything I wanted. I think this time last year it was all brewing, and I was really just kind of, fueling that fire that was in me, and I knew that hadn't fully left yet. I didn't feel like I was completely done with the sport. I felt I needed a break, and I think that was a really good thing for me. But yeah, jumping back into a seat now full time, having a full pre-season and everything ahead of me, it's exactly where I want to be.
Is there anything you learned being away from the sport for a year?
Yeah, I mean a lot about myself, but just also the way I go about probably racing, and it kind of contradicts itself, but I have a lot less weight on my shoulders now coming back, but I also am going all in. So I'm putting everything into it, but I feel lighter doing so. So it's, yeah, and obviously a few things have led to that, but just having time off and perspective of sitting back a little bit and observing from a different point of view, it's just something you don't get the chance to do if you're all in it all the time. And that just gave me a chance to, yeah, switch it up a little.
Of course.
Thank you.
Mr. Ricciardo, thank you so much for your time, sir. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Yeah. Well, that's